The housekeeper locked all 10 of us maids in a dark room with a single bowl of meat in the middle. Whoever could hold out for 7 days without eating would get to serve the young master. On the 6th night, I was so hungry I could barely stay conscious. Then I heard someone gnawing on bones right next to me. They didn't make it, not from starvation. They literally gnawed themselves to nothing. I was the only one left, the sole maid in the young master's courtyard. Back then, the young master was only 6 years old. His mom had died early, and his stepmother ran everything. He never had enough to eat or wear, just constant misery. He was pale, scrawny, and seriously malnourished. There's a saying, working for this young master means starving 3 meals out of every 3 days. After just 5 days, I looked just as hollowed out and yellow-faced as he did. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore, so I started sneaking around the estate, stealing chickens and ducks to cook for him. Got beaten for it plenty of times. But at least we finally had a real meal to eat. And slowly I fattened that kid right up. 2 years later, the young master fell into a slump because he had no schooling. I had no choice. I'd sneak out every single day through dog holes and over walls and spend my little savings on books for him. The young master was a total overachiever. He devoured every book he could find and became incredibly well-read. And just like that, the two of us scraped by together for 10 whole years. I was 18. He was 16. He'd been laying low for years, and finally made his move, took down his stepmother, and became the undisputed heir of the entire household. The day he was officially named heir, he smiled and asked me, "Sunyan, is there anything you want?" Sunyan wasn't my real name. I was the 3rd kid in my family. My parents just called me Yaya. The young master thought that sounded too plain, so he gave me a new name, Sunyan. I scratched the back of my head, a little embarrassed. "Young master, will you really give me anything I ask for?" He nodded. "Of course." So I went all in, asked for 500 taels of silver, my freedom from servitude, and a chance to leave the estate and get married. He went quiet for a long time, then finally asked, "Is there someone you like?" I nodded, feeling all shy about it. When I was 5, I'd made a promise with a boy from my village named Shitu, that when we grew up, we'd get married. He went quiet again for a while, then nodded and said calmly, "I'll look into it." Less than 2 days later, the young master told me, Shitu had already gotten married, had kids, and was living great. Loving wife, devoted children. There was no room for me in his life anymore. I was devastated. Cried for a solid 2 hours straight, then moped around for days. The young master couldn't watch it anymore, so he sat there stone-faced and drank with me. Next morning, I woke up in the young master's bed. I was completely floored. In the end, I never left the estate, but the young master kept his word. He gave me 500 taels and freed me from servitude. And me, I became his live-in companion. Now let me tell you, this young master was built, slim with clothes on, stacked underneath, and drop-dead handsome on top of that. He was generous with me too. Honestly, felt like I came out ahead. I got over losing Shitu pretty fast. Time flew. By then, I'd been his companion for 2 years. The young master was cold by nature, not really into women. In those 2 years, I was the only companion in his back courtyard. Out of every month, he'd spend about 10 nights with me. Roughly every other day, an easy, laid-back life. Today was supposed to be my day off. But then he sent word that he was coming over tonight. Given how generous this man is, I wasn't exactly thrilled, but I got up anyway. I changed into the pink dress he likes most, put on the jade hairpin he gifted me last time, and touched up my makeup the way he's always complimented, all set to welcome him. I stood at the door for a full half hour before he finally strolled over, completely unbothered. He seemed really into my look. The second he stepped into the courtyard, he grabbed my hand and headed straight inside, straight for the bed. Afterward, he pulled me into his arms. "On the 5th of next month, I'm marrying Lady Lu. There's going to be a mistress of this house, so stop acting all casual like you used to." I blinked, frozen for a second. I knew this day would come. I nodded quietly. The young master let out a slow sigh. "I've had people look into it. Lady Lu is gentle and understanding. She's the forgiving type. You don't have to worry. Just stay in line, serve her well, and she won't give you a hard time." The future young mistress was a girl from the Liu family, a close cousin on the young master's maternal side. Funny enough, his stepmother was also from the Liu family, even a cousin to his birth mother. This estate had been tied to the Liu family for 2 generations. Small world. Early the next morning, Lady Liu arrived at the estate. She was received by the second young miss, who was also still unmarried. Lady Liu was curious about the people around the young master, so the second young miss called me over to attend to her. It was my first time meeting Lady Liu. Just like the young master described, graceful, composed, and naturally refined, clearly the gentle and virtuous type. She and the young master looked perfect together. She smiled at me so warmly. I figured, as long as she doesn't come after me, I'll do what the young master said and serve her well. But just as she reached for the teacup, she accidentally burned her hand and dropped it. The shards flew up and sliced my leg. The whole room erupted into chaos. I was pretty sure the tea I'd poured wasn't even that hot, but before I could get a word in, her maid charged at me and slapped me hard across the face. "You lowlife! Just because Our Lady is too kind, you think you can disrespect her like that? She may let things slide, but I sure don't." Lady Lu kept saying it was fine and tried to speak up for me, but the maid's face only got meaner. The second young miss wasn't the young master's full sister. She was a lesser daughter of the house. Scared of offending the future sister-in-law, she glared at me and ordered the maid to slap me 30 times. By the time the young master arrived, my face was swollen like a balloon, blood had soaked through my pant leg, and I was kneeling on the ground. I wanted to explain myself, but he didn't even glance at me. Walked straight over to Lady Lu, brow furrowed, face full of concern.